Hey everyone, this is Dan. Let's talk about Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM. In the next few minutes, I will cover the background of Taiwan Semiconductor, stock symbol TSM. I will first talk about technical analysis. After that, I'll dive into fundamental analysis, which includes financial statements, competitive landscape, my own evaluation of the company, analysts' opinions, and patents and lawsuits. TSM was founded in 1987. They manufacture integrated circuits and semiconductors. They are headquartered in Taiwan and have most of their manufacturing facilities in Taiwan. Taiwan is an island located southwest of Japan and east of China. It's about the size of Connecticut and is 1/30th of the size of California. Taiwan's population is 24 million, about 2/3 of the population of California. Up until very recently, many people are not familiar with the name Taiwan Semiconductor or its stock symbol TSM. TSM is certainly not a household name like IBM, Intel, or Netflix. But TSM has a market cap that is more than $600 billion. That is more than twice the size of Intel and 5 times the size of IBM and twice the size of Netflix. TSM has been an undervalued stock for many years, but that situation was changed dramatically due to a recent international event. The international event that I'm talking about is the U.S. sanctions on the Chinese cell phone maker and 5G leader, Huawei. As you can see from this CNBC news report on August 18, 2020, the U.S. tightens its rule on the sanctions on Huawei. TSM makes the main processor for Huawei's flagship product, the Mate 40 cell phone, which is reportedly as powerful or almost as powerful as the iPhone 12. It's not surprising that the Huawei cell phone is so powerful because TSM makes the main processors for both the Mate 40 and the iPhone 12. Incidentally, TSM also makes the industry-leading chips by NVIDIA and Advanced Micro Devices and many other leading semiconductor companies. On this chart, you can see how the price of TSM went up during the course of a year, especially after August 18. After that U.S. sanction announcement, the price went up quickly, in spite of the fact that they were not able to sell processors anymore to Huawei. In fact, from August to today, TSM has gone up 80%. If you go back to May 2020, the appreciation is even more at 170%. Has TSM realized its full pricing potential already? Is it still undervalued or is it overvalued? We will answer these questions in the next few minutes. This is actually a good time for us to start talking about technical analysis. If you have been following the MACD signal in the last year, you would have been doing pretty well. For example, here's a MACD buy signal, another buy signal confirmation, and the price has been going up during that time. And finally, it peaked out. There's a sell signal, and then a buy signal, and the price started to pick up again. Another sell signal, the price went down for a few days, and then a buy signal, sell signal, buy signal. Had you been following the MACD signals, you would have outperformed even the 170% appreciation based on the buy and hold strategy. Let's zoom into the hourly chart for the last few days. We can see this nice bullish ascending triangle pattern. We can see the influence of the Bollinger Bands here and here, as well as the influence of the RSI indicator and the influence of the MACD indicator. For TSM, I would certainly rely on these technical indicators to guide my swing trading activities. Let's deep dive into some of these technical indicators. Before we continue, I would appreciate very much if you can click the like, subscribe, and notification button. Let's continue. This is an hourly chart from last week. It's fairly typical of how the technical indicators work on the TSM stock. For example, we start out with this belt hold bearish signal, and then the price started to dip a little bit. And then the bearish belt hold candlestick signal was confirmed by this sell signal from the MACD indicator. Then again, confirmed by this bearish Williams fractal. And then finally, the RSI indicator bottom out. Then it started to turn bullish, as indicated by these two Williams fractal indicators. Then the MACD flashed a bullish signal, a buy signal, confirmed by a bullish Williams fractal candlestick. And then the RSI peaked out at above 70. Coincidentally, the candlestick exceeded the Bollinger Band, the upper limit. Then it started to go down, confirmed by this MACD sell signal. Then the price started to drift down a little bit. It was then supported by this engulfing signal and also supported by the mid-Bollinger Band, which is a 20-period moving average. Then we saw this downward engulfing signal with a 3 outside down signal, both pointing in the bearish direction. And sure enough, the price drifted down until it was supported by the lower Bollinger Band. I also looked into how breaking news events affected the stock price. Around November 18, 2020, the news came out that Samsung planned to invest $112 billion in the next generation 3nm chips. And that news brought down the stock price a little bit, but not much. And then in December, the news came out that Apple was going to make more processors with Taiwan Semiconductor, and that was a positive news, and the price picked up. And then the news came out that the November revenue for TSM was up 15.4% year to year. That was very positive, although the price didn't move much on that news. And then in early January, the news came out that the December revenue went up by 14% year to year. That was very positive news also. The market picked up initially during the day, as indicated by the candlestick, but it dropped down later. So overall, it didn't change much in the course of that day. And then the fourth quarter earnings was announced. The price went up a little bit during that day. The only news events that caused fairly significant uptick in the stock price were the two boxes in white, the Apple-related news and the quarterly earnings. Even the quarterly earnings did not move the price much. To me, that means the TSM management has been fairly transparent about the company's performances and that they have been giving good earnings forecasts so that the investment community can digest the news of their success gradually and steadily. I believe that's a very positive sign of a mature management team. Let's look at the financial statements. The annual revenue is around $30 to $40 billion a year in the last 3-4 years. And the 12-month free cash flow is $5.5 billion US, which is very good. The debt-to-equity ratio is 40.3%, and the dividend yield averages 1.07% a year. Let's look at the competitive landscape. This is from Wikipedia about 7nm chips. As you probably know, the smaller the dimension of the chips, in this case is 7nm, the smaller the dimension of the chip, the less energy it'll consume, and also the faster usually the processor will be. And that's why there's being a race for the various semiconductor companies to design chips with smaller and smaller dimension. So if you look at this generation of chips measured at 7nm, without reading through all the text, you can see what I highlighted. As far as the latest development of nanometer chips, all the TSM related developments are highlighted in the yellow boxes here. Samsung is highlighted in red and IBM is highlighted in blue. As you can see, TSM has by far the largest market share among the 7nm chips. And then the more advanced generation, 5nm chips. Again, TSM has already produced the chips for the Apple iPhone 12, as we mentioned earlier, and the Huawei Mate 40. Samsung at this point is still making test runs on the 5nm chips. Basically, they are way behind TSM. Then there's this next generation, 3nm chips. In August 2020, TSM announced that they are working on it to aim for volume production in the second half of 2022. In the meanwhile, Samsung announced that they will actually be able to have mass production in 2021. Looks like there's an attempt from Samsung to take back the lead in chip production, since they already lost the race with the 7nm chips and 5nm chips. And that's why Samsung is making this very aggressive announcement. However, the test of the pudding is whether they can actually go into mass production before TSM does. And then also December 2019, Intel announced plan for 3 nanometer production, but it's not going to happen until 2025. Intel, unfortunately, has been way behind. Actually, recently, Intel has been talking with TSM about having TSM make some of the Intel processors in the next couple of years. Let's look at how I performed the evaluation on TSM. I started out looking at 11 leading semiconductor companies, including TSM, and I looked at their forward PE ratio. I took the average of the 11 companies, which is 25.78, and used that for Taiwan Semiconductor. And then the earning growth of semiconductor, according to Yahoo Finance, for the next 2-3 years is 24.5%. I think this is a very reasonable estimate because TSM's latest 12-month earning growth is actually 41.2%. So they actually took a discount from the latest performance already. And using these numbers and the 12-month net earnings from TSM, applying the current market cap, I arrived at a current PE ratio of 34.18. And the stock price as of yesterday was 134.16. Now, if we say we don't use 34.18 as a PE ratio, but use a more conservative ratio of 24.5 from Yahoo Finance, apply that, and then extrapolate the earnings for 2022, 2023, what we will end up with is a target price of $160. In other words, I would buy TSM if it's less than $160 a share in the next couple of months. Incidentally, the PEG ratio for TSM according to Yahoo Finance is 1.26, which is a very favorable number. As you can see, the PEG ratio for the other leading semiconductor companies are all higher than 1.26. Let's look at the other professional analysts' opinions. Yahoo Finance rates TSM as a 2 out of 5, which is a buy rating. And the average target price is 127.85, and the current price, actually as of today, is 130.66. Not too far away from the analyst target price. Louis Namalere rates TSM overall as an A. It's a strong buy, and the fundamental grade is B, and quantitative grade is A. TipRanks.com rates TSM as a moderate buy. The target price out of 4 analysts on the high side is 149, which is higher than the current price. The average is 111.5, and the low estimate is $74. CNN Business rates TSM as a buy. The target price for 6 analysts, the high side is 200, medium is 144.5, the low estimate is 74. My target of $160 is pretty much in the range of these estimates by the professional analysts. With regard to patents and lawsuits, as of the end of 2020, TSM owns more than 39,000 patents worldwide. Oh, by the way, sometimes TSM stock symbol is also TSMC. And in 2019, they secured about 3,600 patents worldwide, including more than 2,300 in the US. That's a lot of patents. As of October 28, 2019, Reuters reported that TSM settled a lawsuit with Global Foundries Inc. about the use of patents. And that's really the most major pending lawsuits, according to the TSM 10K report. Good that they have that behind them. At this point, I don't think they're exposed to any more legal risks than any other leading semiconductor companies. To repeat what I've been saying, I will be buying TSM if the price is below $160 within the next 2 months. I will continue to track TSM in the next few weeks. If there's any new development, I will post update notes below this video like this before I post the next video on TSM. If you're interested, please click the like, subscribe, and notification button so that you'll be notified when I post my next video. Thank you for watching all the way to here. I'd like to mention that I'm not a financial advisor. You should make your own decisions regarding buying or selling financial assets, and you should probably consult with your financial advisors before you do so.